They say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And a few months ago, I felt like I was going insane. I sold my business at the end of 2019, and I thought starting another one would be easier, but it wasn't. My next startup failed, and then another, and another, and another, and another. And at that point, I had to admit the obvious. Something needed to change. For years, I've been building companies in a spare bedroom, largely on my own. And while I'm confident in my ability to build great products, getting a business to go from 0 to 1 has proven to be much harder than I expected. What I needed was new perspectives, new environments, and new people. So I gave myself a simple challenge. Meet as many entrepreneurs as possible and keep an open mind. So I got out of my bubble and I started showing up. I attended entrepreneur meetups, I volunteered in startup programs at UC San Diego, and I even mentored younger founders. And along the way, I met an endless stream of intelligent and ambitious people. One of them was Dane Chapin. Dane is a prolific entrepreneur and currently the CEO of The Op, one of the largest game manufacturers in the country. They produce hit games like Telestrations, Flip 7, and Tapple. Over the past 6 months, Dane and I have become good friends. We often meet for happy hour and end up talking for hours. After my last startup failure, Dane said something that completely caught me off guard. He said, "I think you'd be good at inventing games." My immediate reaction was, no chance, because I don't even play games, so I couldn't understand why Dane would think that I would be good at inventing them. But then Dane told me that one of his entrepreneurial superpowers was pattern recognition, and that he'd spent decades recognizing connections that most people missed. I took a mental note of those 2 points, but then we moved on to our next topic. And a few days later, Dane left for a 2-week trip to Greece. For some reason, the idea of me being a game inventor stayed with me. And for days, it kept resurfacing in my head, but every time it did, I would dismiss it. And then I caught myself. I was doing the exact thing I promised I wouldn't do. When I started this journey, I committed to keeping an open mind, and dismissing an idea simply because I didn't understand it wasn't keeping an open mind. So I decided to step back and look at the situation objectively. Here was someone I deeply respected, someone with the type of family life, business success, and community impact I admire, and someone who had spent decades building companies and exceptional judgment. And he was telling me he saw something in me. So I decided I shouldn't be so quick to ignore that, and I made a decision. Stop trying to be right and start learning to have faith in those who are ahead of you. And with that, I dove in. The deeper I went, the more I realized Dane might actually be onto something. Over 20 years as an entrepreneur, I've had to become good, not necessarily great, at dozens of skills. Most of those skills aren't particularly valuable on their own, but occasionally, a unique combination of skills creates an unexpected advantage. And game design turned out to be one of those moments. My years spent studying and writing about human behavior helped me understand game and player psychology. Years of computer programming allowed me to build simulations and test game mechanics quickly. Years of product development helped me with design and manufacturing. And years of marketing helped me think through packaging, positioning, and distribution. For the first time in a long time, it felt like many of the skills I've been building throughout my career were suddenly converging. Within 2 weeks, I designed 2 games from scratch, had them manufactured overseas, and began playtesting them with family and friends. And the feedback was encouraging. But the moment that really got my attention was a call from my mother-in-law. I'd recently taught my daughter and her cousins how to play one of my games, Never 11. Now, they were staying at my mother-in-law's house, but they didn't have my game because I only had one prototype. But that didn't stop them. The kids found a deck of Uno cards and spent hours recreating my game, Never 11, with a deck of Uno cards. And that's when I started thinking, if 3 kids under the age of 10 will spend hours recreating my game, Never 11, with a deck of Uno cards, then maybe I'm actually onto something. So I sent a message to Dane and told him I had something to show him when he got back from Greece. At our next happy hour, I walked Dane through everything I'd built. And after the presentation, he said it was one of the best he'd seen in his years in the industry. More importantly, he loved both games. The following week, I gave the same presentation to the ops executive team. Then I playtested the games with the company's development team. And the reaction was remarkably consistent. Everybody loved both games. So as it currently stands, I am now registered as an official game inventor with the Op, and both of my games are moving through their internal review process. At this point, you might be wondering, why am I telling you this? Neither of the games are a retail smash hit. I don't have a publishing deal with the Op, and while I certainly want those things to happen, none of them are guaranteed. But that's not really the point. The point is that when I felt stuck, I changed my environment instead of giving up. The point is that new opportunities often arrive disguised as ideas that initially make no sense. The point is that I had enough courage to put my faith in the unknown. The point is that some of the best opportunities only arrive after you're willing to become a beginner again. And the point is that doing all of this has led to some of the most exciting new relationships and possibilities I've had in years. A few years ago, I stopped posting on this YouTube channel consistently because I couldn't figure out the algorithm, but I promised I'd come back when I had something worth sharing. And I think this is worth sharing. No matter where you are in life, if you feel stuck, take this story as a reminder to try something different. Talk to new people, seek out new perspectives, and be willing to follow your curiosity before you fully understand where it's leading. Because, like me, if you step into the unknown, you might be pleasantly surprised with where it takes you.